JT Show.
What's going on, you sexy beasts, and welcome to another episode of the Smash JT Show, my weekly rundown of divisive issues in the video game industry. And without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Some of you may recall at the end of 2017, the World Health Organization, also known as WHO, was discussing if video games were an addiction, and if it was something as far as behavioral health that could be classified as an actual problem. Back in December, professionals were disagreeing on if this should be classified as a disorder or not, because people say gaming is just something people do as recreational time, and some people take it to an extreme while others don't, and classifying this as a disorder would give a bad stigma to what already plagues gaming in general. And while there is no shortage of any stories from people playing video games way too long, especially over in Asia where their play sessions at internet cafes last over 24 hours and people die from gaming too much, it's a very real situation. However, the other side of this, the other scientists that disagree with WHO, are saying that gaming is not a disorder. It's actually just an extension of deeper underlying issues that people have going into gaming, and gaming just magnifies those issues. Chris Ferguson, a psychology professor at Stetson University in Florida, who has studied how video games affect society, said we haven't come close to demonstrating that video game addiction could be a real mental illness in the same sense as schizophrenia or depression. But the way the World Health Organization is classifying this, it's falling right into that. So I want to throw the question out to you guys. Do you feel like video game addiction is a severe mental illness that definitely needs to be classified as such? Or do you feel like the World Health Organization is a little bit overreaching their bounds right now to be trendy with how video games can be addicting, but it's actually more of an underlying issue? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd be interested to hear what you think about that. In other news, Danny Joe, who goes by the Twitter handle @LittleTigerBabe, is an SJW who got caught red-handed trying really hard to call out Sony regarding the guy playing their flute at their E3 conference 2018. With the tweet, "Can someone at Sony please explain why you chose not to hire a Japanese performer to wear traditional Japanese wardrobe for a Japanese game? This is extremely offensive to your Asian American consumers and blatant cultural appropriation. Please explain." This is just absolutely hysterical to me. Nothing more I like to see than an SJW who's trying to make a name for themselves calling someone out without knowing all of the facts. Have you ever heard of someone being burned so hard that they had to actually delete their Twitter handle? Cause that's what happened following that tweet. Best Mom Ever replied, "Hello, I am Japanese. Let me explain. That man is one of the few living people officially recognized as a master of that instrument. If you don't believe me, you may Google Cornelius Boots. He has dedicated his life to his art. The man who performed with the shakuhachi flute at E3 2018 is none other than Cornelius Boots, an internationally acclaimed composer and recognized shakuhachi master. He started learning music at age 9. That's him and Asuda Kahuta, the greatest shakuhachi player alive." After these tweet responses were sent out to Lil Tiger Babe, the Twitter community started razzing her a little too much. Actually to the point of deleting her Twitter account. She can no longer be found. She was burned so bad that she deleted her account, which is so sweet, because anytime someone starts using the cultural appropriation term these days, I can't wait to see them get railed. But I want to pass that on to you guys. Do you feel like the community should be a little bit more accepting to people that may not be doing their research? Or do you feel like it was right that people piled on her and bullied her off of the internet for good? And with that being said, I want to talk about one of my favorite products out there, and that product is no one, because no one's advertising with me, because I'm too small and no one cares about a small channel. So this is sponsored by me making this video for you guys. And I want to talk about my favorite video of the week. And this comes to us from Daniel Ibbotson, who is better known on YouTube as Slopes Game Room, giving us a complete history of F-Zero, from its humble beginnings all the way up to why the hell don't we have a Switch version of F-Zero yet, and everything in between. He does an excellent job talking about how the futuristic racer came to be, what makes it so special, and why the fans want it so much. If you guys haven't seen this video yet, it runs a little over a half hour and is definitely worth your time. Check it out. One of the most anticipated games coming out this summer in July is Octopath Traveler for the Nintendo Switch exclusively. And in a recent interview with Masashi Takahashi, Kotaku had asked about future DLC plans and what's coming down the pipe for this game. And he replied saying, "We are not thinking about that at all. What we are releasing is a finished product." Which is music to my ears personally, because I love to hear that a game in 2018 is coming out as a finished product without any DLC, and as far as I know, no loot boxes, no other random content that they're trying to steal money from. They're just selling a complete game to the audience. But I want to pass the question off to you guys. Are you okay with that, or would you prefer them almost take the route of, if the game is great, we'll keep creating more DLC for this down the road? Because sometimes you don't want a game just to end. And I look back at games like Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana, and I wonder, what would it have been like if they were able to add DLC, extra dungeons, more storyline to it? I would have eaten that up back in the day. So I almost feel like it's a bad thing to not have DLC on a game that's officially completed. But I want to throw the question out to you guys. Do you feel like there should be DLC for completed games? Or are you happy with the approach Square is taking with this, saying that they don't plan on DLC coming down the pipe for it? This is a completed game, and what we're selling you is what you're gonna get. On to the next topic. Reddit user EU Best City EU was laying down materials in Fortnite to create a dance area where they could actually have some fun and dance. But what ended up happening was, from far away, the design ended up looking like a swastika. And that was kind of a big deal in the community, because people started seeing it when they were flying into the zone, and complaints started coming in to the Fortnite creator Epic Games. And Epic Games had responded on the Reddit forums saying that they have taken care of this issue. It was an accident, and they're not taking any course of action against this Reddit user who did it for the dance floor. But it does bring up an interesting question. Should this be something people are concerned about in Fortnite? If you're able to build something on a massive scale, and if it's going to be things that could offend people, should there be maybe issues with kids playing it? For me personally, I kind of worry about creativity in games or sandbox, and you can build things and maybe piss off other players. But I'd be interested to hear what you guys think of this. Do you think Fortnite has a growing problem where people could start being copycats and creating things that may piss off the general public on a massively multiplayer game online? Or do you think Epic Games has this under control and they'll take care of it whenever something like this pops up? Let me know down in the comments below about that. Next up, I want to talk about GameStop and how they're in talks to be possibly sold to private equity firms. This is something that took me a little bit by surprise, because honestly I thought it was going to happen 5 to 10 years ago. I can't believe they lasted this long in this tough economic environment, especially when it comes to competing with online stores and massive video game sales retailers like Best Buy, Walmart, and Target. These tiny GameStop stores, I don't really know how they were getting by for so long outside of the sale of used games. But it does bring up an interesting question for you guys. I worry about the future of small game stores, because GameStop, while they were a giant conglomerate, at the end of the day, they were, in a lot of cases, your small local game retailer. It would only leave the major retailers remaining, completely getting rid of all the small retailers out there. So I'd love to hear from you guys on this issue. Do you feel like GameStop should find a way to survive if possible? Or do you think this is the natural evolution of the video game industry, where if they can't survive in this environment, they shouldn't be there to begin with? Let me know down in the comments below. And finally, the Atari box, or now known as the Atari VCS, the company behind that, has remained silent, not reaching out to any YouTubers after blasting them on their official Facebook page. And regardless of the response by RGT85 and myself and Dreamcast Guy and many other YouTubers out there calling this company out for their BS, they still have not responded regarding anything about the system. They are just sitting on their hands right now, taking people's money. So I want to throw that out to you guys. Do you still trust Atari with their approach and being secret with everything? Or are you a little bit concerned that they're taking people's money and still not giving out any information, and still not interviewing with anybody who would love to talk to them to find out what's going on behind the scenes? Let me know down in the comments below about that. That's where I'm going to end the episode this week. Let me know in the comments below if there are any other topics you want me to cover in future episodes. If you want to get caught up, last week's episode's right next to me there. If you're still not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, because YouTube doesn't always notify people these days. And always check back on Fridays, even if you don't get a notification, because I plan on sending these out every Friday. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and you stay sexy.